Hey everybody, coming at you. First, let me wish everyone a happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day and remind us all that the march from Micah 6:8 does not end and requires constant vigilance. So, happy MLK Day. I went to see film number 4 of 2026 on my way to reaching that goal of seeing and reviewing 100 movies this year. I went to see No Other Choice. Right there. Woo-hoo. By director Park Chan-wook. And those of you, again, who follow, 190 of you, I think. Hey, well on our way to that 200 follower goal by the end of December. I set very low bar goals for myself. Should you go see this movie is typically what I would tell you while I process this film coming out of the theater. I would say yes. I was blown away by this movie. In fact, I sat in the theater for a very long time after everyone had gone. And there were, by the way, a lot of people in this movie at my theater, which I always like to mention too. We should definitely all have that communal experience of sitting in a theater together and witnessing art. So I sat for a long time with this because it was so moving. Like I said, haunting, moving, beautiful. You should go see it, especially if you want a really biting satire, dark comedy on the notion of modern work. So I would definitely go see it in that. Understand it's a very heavy theme. It's a lot of metaphors. Wow. I would also tell you that it is a journey, right? It's a journey that is going, it's like, a roller coaster. I would say this is where you think you're at the top hill and you're like, oh, that's it. That was the climax. And no, no, you go into a dark tunnel and there's like 5 other hills that you didn't see coming. And some of them will drop you upside down. Some of them will swing you sideways. Some of them will throw you out of the cart and find a way to bring you back in. And it ducks and dodges, and it is, it'll shake you. It'll shake you, put you back in the car, take you back out, shake you again, put you back in the car. And you keep thinking, gosh, this has got to be the end. This has got to be, no, there's more. And the ride takes you deeper and deeper into the point, and you get sucked in. It's so beautiful. The framing, obviously, as I said, director, all right, Park Chan-wook. Such a beautiful director. There's so many beautiful shots, especially as this really connects to nature, a lot of this film. There's so many beautiful shots of nature and trees and plants and kind of what is the very basic of humanity, our connection to nature, and then versus our connection to kind of the cold industrialness of work. So you get kind of two things. Very Joe versus the Volcano, for those who are in the know about Joe versus the Volcano. I would also say that if you want to look at Mike Judge's satire Office Space to see kind of where this began in the 90s with the idea of downsizing, and then follow it through a timeline to get to this film, to where we are now at that transition to AI, it is such a brilliant satire. And like Office Space was a brilliant satire, right? This is brilliant and bleak in terms of what we're looking at. This idea that for a long time, generations were sold this idea of having pride in your job, having pride in what you do, and what you do becoming what you are, and not imagining anything else for yourself, because job satisfaction, keeping your family safe, putting a meal on the table was the number one goal. And what happens when the job doesn't love you back as much as you love the job, when the job doesn't give you what you gave it? And that is plays throughout this film into devastating ways. And also that, I would say, if you're going to tie it to films, like, I tie it to films, I would say if The Godfather, How to Succeed in Business, Little Shop of Horrors, and let's see, what would be another, Sweeney Todd merged together as a script to kick out an ultimately larger baby that stands on their shoulders to see much farther as a vision. This is it. Yes, How to Succeed in Business meets Sweeney Todd, meets Little Shop, meets A Simple Plan, meets Godfather for this film, and for different reasons. Obviously, climbing the ladder, How to Succeed in Business, the satire of what you're willing to do, what you're willing to sacrifice to get your dreams, to get the thing. The Godfather themes that I would say, this idea that Francis Ford Coppola plays on quite a bit through the Corleones and through this film does as well, is what are you willing to do to sell your soul, to sell your morality in order to live in the lifestyle you believe your family should live in order to shield your kids from the world and keep up with the Joneses, right? Have the house, have the car, have the dogs, have everything, all the activities, right? The scheduled activities. What would you be willing to do? And Godfather in this play that very well, this idea, first of all, how much are you willing to do, but also how much are the people around you willing to turn a blind eye in order to also live that life and get dragged down into it? And then how much are you willing to make your children collateral damage of that behavior? Sins of the father, so forth, visited on the children, which Godfather plays out well, right? The never-ending loop. And again, it's played out so beautifully and so dark and so comically, you just can't look away. Like I said, the framing shot by shot, there's a scene somewhere in halfway maybe with shovels, and the cuts bouncing from a shovel hit to each person with a shovel to seeing what's in each character's mind as kind of an intermission-y thing, right? This is where we're at now at the end of Act 1 or Act 2. And here we're seeing how all this stuff is visited just with the simple hit of a shovel and that resonance of a shovel bouncing through people's minds. It's so beautiful. Wow. Go see this. Go see what you think about this. The idea of alienation, the idea of materialism, there's so many themes in this movie, but you should go see it and see what you think. The idea, again, of AI and what that'll mean for the future for those of us. And it had me thinking throughout the film, like, am I safe? Am I safe as a teacher? Is this person safe? Am I climbing on top of someone else so that they get taken and I don't get taken? These are, the corporate ladder and how you are, either pulling people up the ladder or kicking people off. And I always like to look at the themes of how these movies compare, and obviously looking at, like, is this thing on this that I've seen? And then Sheepdog. There's some obvious connections between Sheepdog and this. The tapping to take out the negative thoughts, but what happens if the negative thoughts can't be cured? The idea of, is this thing on? What if it's not about your job? What if it's not about the perfect house, the perfect marriage? But what if it's just about finding what you love and being satisfied and making human-to-human connection? There's so many themes in this movie that I think you should go see for it. The cast, well cast, just everybody. Every character has a place, and every character keeps you guessing. Like, you think you know what's going to happen, and then you don't know what's going to happen, and that's a great movie, right? That you can't predict. It's unpredictable. And wow. Go see this. Go see this. I've talked too much about this, but it's deep. It's profound. It's beautiful. It's a good satire of modern work. So also go see all the movies I mentioned with it. Have like a satire of modern work film festival. So, all right. Why would I say this? Is go see this because you have no other choice. Nothing? Okay, well, I'll talk to you later. Bye.